There are multiple Eagles updates as a stud defensive player that was a big piece in 2024 is cleared to practice with the team, and this changes everything about the Eagles defense. I'll break down all of this news and more roster updates surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome in to Eagles Digest. My name is Alex Brooks, and we're here to deliver you guys the latest news on the reigning and defending Super Bowl champions as we get set for a Week 5 matchup against the Denver Broncos. And while we get ready for that matchup, we have some huge news that broke out of the Philadelphia Eagles Twitter, and that was number 17. He is back on the field. He is back, and the Eagles opened his 21-day practice window, and he is going to be back on this team in the next couple of weeks. And this is huge for this Eagles defense, who has been the saviors of this Eagles team day in and day out. I mean, just looking at what Nakobe Dean was able to do last year and helping the Eagles really transform the linebacker position, really help Zach Bond develop into what he is now, an all-pro stud linebacker, maybe the best linebacker in the NFL. And him coming from Georgia, not having the best start to his career, and then having an breakout year in 2024 and then having to go on IR after getting an injury in the Green Bay Packers wild card game. It was an unfortunate end to Nakobe Dean's season. He went in, he won a ring with the Eagles, but he is definitely hungry to be on the field the next time the Eagles raise that Lombardi. And I definitely think that this is going to be so crucial in both helping Zach Bond and Jihad Campbell. And one guy who has been able to develop all of these guys and been a very good staple is Vic Fangio. And Vic Fangio is always blunt when talking about all of his players, whether they are good, whether they are bad. He will give you a straight arrow answer. You don't need to worry about him sugarcoating anything. And he said this regarding Nakobe Dean and him going back to practice. He said, well, he played great last year, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio said on Tuesday. Besides being the signal caller guy and being a leader, you can't be a leader if you don't play good. And he played great for us last year. As far as where he is at now, either this week or next week, he'll start his practice window, and then we'll see where he is at. And Nakobe Dean had to say this after his first day of practice going into this Week 5 matchup. He said, I feel that I'm able to go fully right now. I am playing. I am practicing. It's all I can do right now is control what I can control. And this is big, knowing that Nakobe Dean and what he has been able to do to this team and be able to develop throughout his career. Just looking at the stats so far from his career in 2022, he was more of a special teams guy. He was able to have some spot starts here and there, but he was mostly on special teams after he had an injury in the previous year with Georgia. So he was just getting his feet wet. He was just getting used to the defense under Jonathan Gannon at the time. And then 2023, you thought he was going to have a breakout year. Unfortunately, he goes down with an injury in 2023 and only had 4 games started on the year. And then when it came to 2024, he broke out. He became one of the best linebackers in the NFL when you're looking at it. Combined tackles, 128, 72 solo tackles, 3 sacks, 4 pass deflections, 1 interception against the Jacksonville Jaguars that I'll never forget, and then 1 forced fumble and 2 fumble recoveries. I mean, just an absolute insane year. And it was unfortunate that he wasn't able to finish that while the Eagles were going on that Super Bowl run when he went down with an injury. But him and Bond became one of the most lethal defensive linebacker duos I have ever seen in my life. And the Eagles have not been in the past good at the linebacker position. It's just been an afterthought. You're throwing guys in there like Daniel Ellerbe in the 2017 Super Bowl. The Eagles ended up winning that, but it was not because of the linebacker position. The Eagles won the Super Bowl last year because of the resurgence of Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean, and they became two staples that were going to be a great linebacker duo for years to come. But with Dean going down with an injury and what he was able to, not be able to provide in those playoffs and him just having that injury history, the Eagles decided to go in the first round and get the linebacker Jahad Campbell out of Alabama. And he has looked like the defensive rookie of the year throughout these first 4 games. And Zach Bond has been able to take him under his wing and develop him every single day and have him ready every single time he is on the field. And this begs the question, where does Nakobe Dean end up when he gets back? And I think this is a perfect problem for a defending Super Bowl champion team to have, because you know that you have Jahad Campbell, who is doing really well right now, and Zach Bond. But if you need insurance, Nakobe Dean can come up there in big games. We've seen it. We've seen that he's come up in the clutch with tackles, with interceptions, with forced fumbles, fumble recoveries. He's been able to do it all. And with Jahad Campbell just really showing what he did last week with that interception and that forced fumble, I mean, this linebacker position is so deep when you get Dean back. And when you're looking at the schedule, when he comes back, it's going to be the Packers, it's going to be the Lions, it's going to be all these big games moving forward. It's going to be the Dallas Cowboys, a division rival. So you're looking at big games that Nakobe Dean is going to have to play in and be a guy who can spell Campbell and Bond whenever they need a breather. So I think it's a perfect problem for the Eagles to have, and a really good insurance option that Vic Fangio can use and really play chess when he looks at his defense. And Zach Bond had some great words to say about Nakobe Dean. He said, "It's like I'm playing with him, but not playing with him." Bond said earlier this season, he's super engaged. For someone to be out and not out there on the field, it's impressive how engaged he is. And that does not surprise me when looking at a guy like Nakobe Dean, like number 17. I mean, he comes from Kirby Smart and the Georgia defense. He is one of the most mature defensive players in the league and on this football team. When you're looking at guys like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Keely Ringo, and Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith, they all came from Georgia. And they all have said, if you guys haven't seen those videos, look at those videos with all those Georgia guys, meeting up for dinner. They see that Nakobe Dean is wise among his peers. He is so wise and so selfless, and he is ready to really help anybody at that position. He's been able to help Oren Burks get a contract after he did so well with the Eagles in the Super Bowl run. Just a guy who can be a coach later after he plays football. And he is such a great football player and such a great football mind that the Eagles definitely are very appreciative to have on their team. And I can't wait till he gets back in midnight green. But some other news that came in after the Eagles' great defensive performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was the loss of the long snapper Charlie Hughlett, who went on the IR with a neck injury, and he's going to be out for the next 2 months. And Hughlett being able to have that chemistry with Braden Mann and Jake Elliott, it has been huge for Jake Elliott to get, quote unquote, his swagger back and make all of his field goals and extra points. So the Eagles had to go with a new long snapper, and this was going to be Cal Adamtis is signed to the Philadelphia Eagles as Hughlett went on IR. So it's definitely a new wrinkle in this special teams that's been huge for the Eagles, whether it's kicking, whether it's blocking field goals, whether it's blocking punts. But having a guy now in Atomtis who hasn't been really that productive as a long snapper in his career. We're going to see how that new wrinkle is going to showcase against the Denver Broncos, who's a defense that Vic Fangio knows, and Sean Payton is definitely going to be looking at that when it goes to punts, whether it goes to field goals, and just see how the special teams is able to, transition from one long snapper to another. So a very underrated injury designation for Hughlett, and we'll just see how Cal Adoptis does with Jake Elliott and Braden Mann. But I definitely think that Nakobe Dean being back on this team in the practice window, getting ready for these big games coming up with the Green Bay Packers later in November and the Detroit Lions. It's going to be huge to know that Dean is going to be there with Jahad Campbell and Zach Bond, and this defense is going to get even better than it is right now. But that's going to do it for this edition of Eagles Digest. Guys, you guys better hit that subscribe button. You better comment down below to join in on this conversation. I want to know your thoughts regarding Nakobe Dean's return to the Eagles practice and what you guys think this matchup against the Denver Broncos is going to show with all the roster moves that happened today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We're going to be pumping out content, me and Jack, on this channel. We appreciate all the support. Subscribe down below and help us out here. And fly, Eagles, fly, and let's go Birds.